Yeah, so welcome to Melbourne Unreal. We are mastering music, mastering life. I'm your host, Tony Jack, the Bear Man's, coming to you from Deluxe Mastering, Melbourne, Australia, the world's most livable city. And I'm absolutely delighted today to have Tony Doherty in with me. Mate.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, mate. Thanks for coming down.
Very happy to be here.
So Tony is an entrepreneur. You own Doherty's Gyms, which is a hugely successful franchise in this country. You run the Arnold Classic. You also run the FitFX Sports Expo as well.
No, that's actually the same thing. So the Arnold Classic, FitX was my original expo, and that became the Arnold Classic.
So how did that come about?
Well, I'd always wanted to do a sport and fitness expo. So I started off with a pro bodybuilding show, which was has grown into the world's third longest running pro bodybuilding show here in Melbourne. We're now in our 17th year. Started in 2001, and that became very, very successful. And I wanted to build an expo off the back of that, which I'd seen done around the world. But the best one of all was the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
So that I'll just model it after that. In fact, I always put on a couple of weeks or 1 week after his show, because all the athletes are in shape, and it was just a no-brainer to do it. Then when he finished being governor, he decided to take his fitness crusade worldwide and appoint one promoter in each country, each continent to do an Arnold Classic. So there's 6 continents, if you don't include Antarctica, because we can't do shows there. So he started off, he's been in Columbus for 28 years, but 5 years ago he did the first one in Europe, and he chose Spain. So that's been in Madrid for 5 years, and this year we moved to Barcelona, but it'll always be Spain. That's the only one in Europe.
Yeah.
He said the next continent we're going to conquer is South America, and he chose Brazil, and we've just done our 4th one down in Rio.
Right.
He said the next one will be Australia, and fortunately he handpicks one promoter in each country, and that's it. That's a lifetime deal if you deliver. So fortunately he chose me, and he knew that I had a pre-existing expo called FitX, and it made a lot of sense to add his brand to that, which in fact doubled every aspect of it. And that was 2 years ago. So our next one is, the next continent is Africa. So we're doing one in Johannesburg. I'll leave 2 weeks from tomorrow.
No.
To Johannesburg, and then the last continent is Asia, and I bidded for that, and I managed to get that as well.
Good on
So
you.
we've got Arnold Hong Kong the last week of August, and that's all 6 continents done. So the upside is I get to travel with Arnold and his team at least 6 times a year, but last year it was 8 trips with him and 12 trips altogether. So it's been completely life-changing, Jack. So I've gone from being a gym rat, gym owner, motivator, and I was doing a lot of talks and this sort of thing, trying to get people to be their best, but then I've been thrown into the deep end with this this whole fitness crusade with Arnold, and he's basically brought me up through the ranks. I'm sort of fairly high up in the organisation now, and
That's fabulous, mate.
and seeing the world, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So for those of us who probably, including myself, who don't know, so what was it like the first time you met Arnold, and what's he like as a bloke, and what's been your experience of just
Well, I met him-
working with him, and now I guess obviously having a friendship with him as well?
Well, I guess they're the sort of different levels. So I met him a few years ago, and it was like anyone else meeting him. He walks into the room and says, "Hey, how you doing? This is fantastic," and makes everyone feel good. And I was just one of those guys, and I remember being thrilled, getting a photo, but thinking he's not going to remember this. This is, he meets 500 people a day. I was just one of those guys.
Yeah.
And then when he chose me to be his business partner, he sent his business partners out from Columbus to interview me and get all that side of things right. And then we had to present it to him in Columbus, Ohio, nearly 3 years ago. So that was really, really frightening and intimidating, because I got in there and they said, now we're going to ask each of the promoters from around at that stage, the 3 continents, and the new guy from Australia to talk a little bit about what they're doing and why it's going to work, and so on and so on. And Arnold walked in, so it was only a fairly intimate room of about 30 people, and I had to do a speech in front of him. And I was like, wow. And I do public speaking, as you know, for a living, with all my MC work and interviews and this and that sort of thing. And it was really, really intimidating, but I knocked it out of the park, and he gave me a big hug, and we just kind of clicked. And then I started travelling with him and his team, and a year later we did the first Arnold Classic Australia, and he gave us a 10 out of 10, and we've managed to become not only business partners but really good mates. And like, for example, last year he called and said, "I'm doing the premiere of Terminator Genesis for Asia. Would you like to come meet me in Shanghai? And we'll just go hang out and go to the movie premiere and smoke some cigars and hang out." So
as you do.
So it's sort of gone to that level. And people ask me all the time now, particularly in the interview sense, what's Arnold really like? Well, I'm happy to say he's everything you would hope that your idol or your hero is. He's a fantastic guy. And when I say that, it's what I like about Arnold. He's the same whether the cameras are on him or whether they're not on him. So when we're doing the public Arnold, do you think maybe that's a persona he's good at portraying? He's an actor after all, but it's not. It's quite real. I've never seen him be rude to a waiter or growl at anyone or speak down to a single human. In fact, we've been in Uber cars around the world and he'll get up in the front with the driver.
Yeah.
And the thing I like to share about Arnold, it's something that I've learnt enormously from and something I'd like to share and encourage you guys to learn from, is that Arnold is amazingly curious. When I say he's curious, he asks everyone he meets their life story and he remembers it. It's not just ba 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 ba. He actually taps into the person and listens and remembers their life story and learns and learns and learns. And whether it's as a taxi driver, an Uber driver, he'll sit up the front and say, why did you come here from Pakistan, and how did you end up in the United States, and what happened to your family to put you here, and he means it.
Yeah.
And I think his curiosity is one of the reasons he's been so successful, because he really, really taps into people. And apart from that, I mean, he's obviously funny and charming, and he lights up a room, and you learn a whole lot working with. Well, he's the most iconic figure in the world, I believe, the most recognisable person in the world. And you learn a lot working and being on the road with someone like that, because I'm a people watcher and I'm a learner. I'm not book educated, and for anyone watching this that feels like they've let themselves down by not getting a university education or not doing this, most of the self-made and successful people that I know and that he knows that we meet around the world aren't formally educated.
Definitely.
They just fucking work hard and decide that they're going to be good at what they do.
And I think the other thing that you touched on, which I think is a really good point, Tone, is that there's a lot to be said about authenticity. Just people who are naturally who they are, whether the camera's on or not on there, and they make a point of. They don't make it all about themselves. It's all they make a point of raising people's significance, not in a bullshit kind of way or pissing in their pot kind of way, but they're just like you said, they're just there. Genuine interest and genuinely being authentic, and I think people resonate with that and they like that, and that's part of the reason why people are great.
Yeah, it's funny, Jack, you say that, because I do this series of seminars, another aspect of things I do called Relentless Momentum, which we've talked about, and I talk more and more now to big corporations and stuff, but quite often I'll do one. I've done them in every state in Australia and New Zealand and a couple overseas. And Relentless Momentum is my company, and it means never quit, never stop. Relentless, never quit. Momentum, never stop, and that's always been my mantra. So when we do these seminars, I always tell a lot of stories and this and that, but there's one story that I always tell, and I was fortunate enough to be the weights coach at the Carlton Football Club for 5 years, and I worked with one of the greatest coaches ever, a guy called Dennis Pagan. You would have seen him around the gym now.
That's right, yeah.
He stuck with me after all that.
Yeah.
And we've become really good mates, but he was a very intimidating man to work for, because he was a two-time premiership coach. It was the first time I'd had a job. I started there when I was nearly 40, and I'd never formally had a job. I'd worked for myself since I was 19. So I just really wanted to do this. So I had to apply and go through the process and actually work in a system, if you like, which was strange. But as a trainer and a motivator, it was a great opportunity to work with absolute high-end elite athletes and to learn from some great coaches. And none were greater than Dennis. And where I'm heading with this is he always told me this story, which just resonated with me, and it stuck with me through thick and thin. I always share it when I do my talks and stuff. He said, son, everyone's got an invisible sign around their neck saying that they want to feel important. He said, whether it's a senior coach, the weights bloke, the lady chopping up the oranges, the water boy, whatever, everyone deserves to feel important. And he said, it's very important for you as a leader to make sure that people feel important. They don't know how much it means to them. And I watched this guy who was in the late stages of his coaching career, and he walked around the club rooms one afternoon. It was a rainy day, and I remember I just watched him, and I stepped back and I dagged him. I was like 10 metres behind him, just watching this great man live what his mantra was. And he went up to this old guy who's passed on. His name was Frankie Finn. He was the boot stutter. He was in his late 70s, and he went up to him and he leaned into the little booth where he had the boots for the players, and he said, Frankie, he said, I just got to tell you something, son. He called everyone son, even the old bloke. He said, I've got to tell you something, son. He said, without you, the players would be slipping all over the place. They wouldn't have the right boots on. They wouldn't be able to play their best brand of footy. He said, and I wouldn't be able to put a team on the park without you in my system. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. He goes, you do an amazing job. We couldn't do without you. And this old bloke, he stood up a foot taller. His chest come out. He looked 10 years younger. He just goes, one of the greatest coaches of all time just acknowledged me, made me feel important. He didn't say that, but you could see it in
his demeanour and his body language.
And then he went to the lady that chopped up the oranges, and he goes, when I give the players a blast at half time, or they're all dehydrated, I think they really look forward to it. And he goes, you might think it's nothing because then you want to chop up oranges, but you always pick the best oranges and you take care and you do a fantastic job, and you're a very important part of my team. Yeah. And he went around to all the key people, and when he got to me, he's like, son, he goes, you're the bloody most positive bloke I've ever met. You know, when I absolutely slam the players after a big loss and I go too far, I know that you're going to pick them up and get them back on track. And your role in my organisation can't. And I thought, I know what he's doing. He's making me feel important. But he did make me feel important. He made everyone feel important. And that's something I've always tried to do, Jack. And you'll see me around the gym. I'll go around and just try and encourage absolutely everyone.
Yeah, no doubt.
And make everyone feel important. And I think it's what you touched on before. You can't underestimate that, and you should never be too big for it, no matter whether you're an absolute rock star like Arnold, who's as I said, arguably the most recognisable person on earth, and everyone wants a piece of him, but he picks his mark and he does it very, very well. So that's that.
Yeah, well, I remember similar as a kid when I got to working with some great master engineers who are the Arnolds, if you will, of the music world. And I think the great lesson from that these guys taught me was it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And that was part of the reason why these guys did so well. And it's just the relationship economy, which is really where we're at right now. So it's great to have chops and skills and in certain areas, but for the most part, you know, people don't like you, they don't connect with you, they don't feel they resonate with you. I don't think you're going to get as far as, you know, as someone who's just simply good at their job.
And look, I'm sure there's arseholes that make it in life.
Oh, no doubt.
But it's lonely at the top.
Absolutely.
And I always say that enjoy what you do and be passionate about what you do. There's three things I always, once again in my seminars, talk about. The three things you need to succeed is vision, action, and passion. Passion, vision, and action. Mm-hmm. Passion means that if you don't love what you do and you're not passionate about it, well, you're in the wrong game, and you're going to think, I'm going to be happy when. And a lot of people are in therapy have got a lot of money.
Oh, shit, yeah.
More people in therapy with money than broke people in therapy. It's not because they can afford it. It's because they thought they'd be happy when they had the house on the hill, or the ideal car, or so much dollars in the bank, or the promotion they dreamed of, whatever. Yeah. And they don't enjoy the journey. Therefore, they get there and it's hollow and empty and they're screwed in the head. The next one is vision. You've got to have a vision, and a very distinct vision. And I don't mean you've got to have a 5-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan. I think a lot of that's bullshit. But you've got to have a clear vision to make sure you're not being fucking delusional. Yeah. Because some people dream big and they've got passion, but then they come up with something that's just not even fathomable. And you've got to have a vision to be able to connect the pieces to get to where you want to go. Now, I'm saying dream big, dream bigger, dream ridiculously big, but then have some steps to get there. And then action means start today. Don't think, oh, Monday. It's like people losing weight. On Monday, I'm going to start. Fuck Monday. It's the worst day of the week to start. Start today. Yeah. If you've decided to stop smoking, if you've decided to stop eating shit, that means you've got to be like a drug addict or an alcoholic where you say, I can never, ever put that shit in my mouth again. Yeah. I can't eat sugar. I'm obese. And you know, your journey's been amazing because you made hard decisions. Yeah. Right? Someone gives up smoking. Same thing. You got to give up smoking, truly give up smoking, you've got to say, I will never put one of those things in my mouth again, not for $1 billion. It's not humanly possible.
Yeah, but even more than that, I think it's also, and even with my weight loss, it's about identity and how you identify. Like, for example, if you say, in terms of the smoking, example that you gave, to say, when you say I'm a non-smoker in your mind, you basically shut off all possibility. Whereas, I'm a smoker that's quit. Right, you still got that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about action. So when you put this back to your life plans, action means stop making excuses, get started, and don't put it off for another week. There's something you can do every day. And I've got another great saying, which is worry about what you can do, not what you can't do. Yeah. And too many people don't get anything done because they're focusing on, if I had so many dollars in the bank, I've had this promotion, I've had more hours a day, I could do that. Okay, well, you just told me what you can't do. What can you do? You can read a book. You can work harder. Arnold always says the reason he's been so successful is he worked out at a very young age that you only need 6 hours sleep, and there's 18 hours a day that you can work your ass off. Yeah. People say, but he's lucky. He wasn't lucky. When he got into movies, he was a full-time Mr. Olympia bodybuilder. He was going to school, doing his masters in business. He was doing an English course and speech improvement course, and he was going to acting school, and they were doing renovations, building walls and fences and house renovations in their spare time, plus training for Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
So 18 hours a day, he could fit all those things in. And he said, well, why would you just work 8 hours a day, you know, and then bum around, watch TV and be lazy, and then complain that, oh, Jack's lucky. Jack's worked his ass off. Tony's worked his ass off. Arnold worked his ass off.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So you've got to, if you're watching this and trying to fire up, stop and think about your day and how you can use each hour better. And stop focusing on what you can't do and think about what you can do, because there's always something you can do.
Most definitely.
Might seem like nothing. Just cross off your list.
Yeah.
You know, simple.
So tell me, all great people that do well have mentors. So who are the people that you look up to in life, or you still look up to, or do you have mentors still this day that you can call and, you know, talk about things that you're doing, you know, just to get some feedback?
I've got kind of a few different people like that. So my dad's always been a great inspiration to me and a mentor.
Brian's awesome,
and
man.
A friend, and him and I are really, really good mates. And the fact that he's now part of my companies has probably forced us to be really, really close and to work together. And he's my number one, always will be. And he shaped me to be the man I am, as in morally, with decency and all the good stuff.
All the values, yeah.
And I went off the rails and let him down and screwed up a lot of things in life. Don't worry about that. But he's always been that rock for me. And no matter what I'm going through, I can always talk to my dad. And then I've got a few guys around the gym who've just stood out and taken interest in my career from when I had absolutely nothing and I was sleeping on the floor of the gym. And
that's a great story. You should when you get a chance, you should touch on the story when you started. I think it's a great story.
I'll go back to that one. But so there's a guy there called John Pascoe. You know, John.
Yep.
He's always been just a different kind of mentor. So I guess without really structuring or thinking about it or planning it, I've got several mentors, and each one of them takes up a different category in my life. You know, Dennis Pagan, and he doesn't realise it. I often say to him, mate, you've been such an amazing influence on me. He goes, oh, come on, son. He goes, you know, you've got all the skill you need. And I said, but you've been a mentor. You've been someone who I can admire because you've taken a lot of hits. And I remember when he was attacked by the media and when he just stood staunch no matter what. He didn't ever let anything affect him.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot from him, and he still gives me some great advice and his little sayings and that sort of thing. Jim Lorimer, who's the Arnold partner, has always been great in business. Another guy in the bodybuilding, Jim Mannion, who's like my president, looks out for me. He's like a father figure. You know, Paul Graham, who got me started in Australia, has always been a bit of a mentor. But probably the greatest one now is Arnold.
Yeah.
Because he's identified something in me that he really likes, and he's taken me under his wing, and he's taken a real interest in everything I do, not just the Arnold Classics. So the business, the life, the ambitions, a whole lot of stuff. And so he's not the sort of guy you can call up, but when I'm with him, which is 6 times a year or 8 times a year, he solidly asks me, how are you going with this, and what happened to that plan you had, and this and that. So he's probably become my idol. And I said this to him a little while ago. I said, you know, how fortunate am I that my idol has become 1, my business partner, 2, my mentor, and 3, one of my best friends. Yeah. And it was funny. I asked him about his idols, you know, and I said, who are the greatest idols of yours that you met that really delivered, know everything you hoped they would be? And it was Nelson Mandela, and Mikhail Gorbachev. Okay. He said Gorbachev was possibly the smartest man he's ever met. Wow. Incredible. And it was funny, last night I was flicking around on the I can't even know what the channel was, and there was a documentary on the Cold War and Gorbachev and how he changed the world. And wow, what an amazing life. And Arnold actually sent me an email just a couple of weeks back. I'll show you when we're done it. A picture of him and Gorbachev, and he's written a nice message on it for me about meeting your idols. Oh, wow. So he does stuff like that to reinforce my journey and where I'm going. So that's been that. Now the story of the gym. So you know, 15, 16 years ago, I had absolutely nothing. I moved down from Bendigo with broke. I'd owed a couple of $100,000. My family were about to lose their house because I was a screw up and I'd been partying and just been an idiot, and ego was out of control. I was this young, strapping bodybuilder who thought, you know, the nightlife was where it's at, and just delusional and so on. Anyway, I lost everything, and it was the biggest wake-up call I've ever had, and possibly the best thing ever happened to me, because all of a sudden I'm nearly 30 and I'm homeless. I've got nothing. I had an old Jeep and an old Jaguar that I was doing up. I traded one for a lat pull-down machine, and the other one, the Jeep, which was my day-to-day car, I sold because the power and phone got cut off so many times in the first year that I was operating in Brunswick that I had to sell my car to get the power put back on. and I had nowhere to live. So I used to stay on the floor of the gym. I had a couch there, and then I moved up on top of it was like a vault where we had all our boxing bags. And I used to sleep up there. But the only thing I had left, Jack, when you've lost everything, I had my dignity.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't want to complain and be miserable and tell everyone, poor me, poor me. I don't have anywhere to live. I thought, you know what? The win of this is to never tell anyone and to act with dignity.
Yeah.
So we used to open the gym at 6 in the morning and close at 10 at night. And I did all the hours, 7 days a week. So what I did was I'd get up in the morning at 5 or 5:30 or whatever. I'd have a shower at the gym, dress up for the day, get out of there by 5:30 so no one saw me, go up to Sydney Road, and the McDonald's up there used to open at 5:30, and there was a newsagent nearby. So I'd get a coffee and a newspaper.
Yep.
Then I'd walk back to the gym, and by then all the people were waiting at the front for me to unlock for the day. And I'd say, good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
And I'd say, oh, those bastards on the tram were really smelly today, and pretend that I'd come from my imaginary home.
Yeah.
And I'd just carry on about the journey of getting there every morning and blah, blah, blah. And lucky no one asked, where do you live? Or if they did, I must have just made something, Mooney Ponds, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Parkville.
Yeah.
But I actually lived at the gym. And then I'd wait till 10 o'clock at night. I'd work all the way through, and then I'd wait for everyone to leave. And of course, sit around out the front and tell bouncer stories and have a few smokes and joints or whatever they do. And I'd be hiding behind a fucking tree in the car park. Come on, guys, go home. And finally, I'd let myself back in. And, I did that for the most part of a year. Stay with friends a couple of nights a week and go and have a feed somewhere. But I had 3 possessions in the world. Was the couch, a vertical grill. Remember the old grills like
I remember
like
that.
a toaster?
Yep, I remember.
And a rice cooker.
Yeah.
So I just lived on chicken breast, steak and rice. That was it. When I could afford it, it was rump steak. When I couldn't, it was chicken breast. And when I was really broke, it was tuna out of a can. I'd buy a box at a time for emergencies. And I got in great shape doing that. But better still, it set me up for life and taught me the lessons I needed to learn about being humble, about appreciating what you've got, and about working your ass off.
Yeah. I think we all got to go through some hardship, mate. I think without going through hardship, without going through poverty, without going through loneliness, disappointment, heartache, all that kind of shit, you never really fully appreciate the good stuff that happens to you in life. I really believe
I think that, Jack, and I think that those things that you just mentioned shape you as a man, as an individual.
Most definitely.
Without some pain and some kicks and some disappointment, some sadness and some misery and some, times where you think, is it all worth it? And if anyone's, and I've counselled people that are, ready to end it all. They're like, oh, I've got nothing to live for it. And you know what? Your best days are still ahead. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And when you're happy one day and everything's come together, you'll think back and go, oh, God, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're just struggling a little bit, just hang in there. Just hang in there, work your ass off and find something you're passionate about, because it will come good. It always does. And look, you don't always get what you dream of, but you've got to keep dreaming. You've got to. You know what? I have this saying, dream bigger, work fucking harder, and sleep faster.
Yeah, sleep faster.
That's Arnold's one. Sleep faster. He goes,
I like it.
6 hours is not enough. Sleep faster.
And you know what I'm discovering too, Tony? And you touched on this on your Instagram post where you were talking about haters. And lately, I've just started to get mine, and to me, I'm realising that's a good sign, because people are paying attention that something's happening, something's twigging. So I loved you made a post about that, about haters. So how do you? How do you deal with it? Like, what's your?
No, I don't think I made a post about haters, because I try not to use that word, but I think I know what you're talking about. And what it was I said for years, I did everything to prove everyone wrong. I think that was the post.
It was something on those lines.
It was a post I did about, and I've actually done a poster series of this. But I think as humans, we all do something to prove someone wrong. Like, I'll show them, I'll fucking show them.
Yeah.
They all hate me. I'll show them. I had this revelation. It was actually during one of my seminars, and someone asked me a question that triggered this thing in my mind. I went, you know what? I just realised I've got to stop doing that. How about I do everything to prove myself right, rather than to prove everyone else wrong?
Yeah.
And it's a shift of, it's like you said before, of the example of being a reformed smoker or being a non-smoker. Yeah. Well, it's a little bit like that with this issue, where you've got to program yourself to say, I'm not doing it for anyone else. But you know why? Because your haters, if you like, or the people that don't like you, they're not going to appreciate it. Your detractors are not going to appreciate it anyway. Yeah. They're still going to fucking hate you. Yeah. In fact, the more successful you are, they're still going to hate you. All they want is for you to fail. So if you think, oh, I'm going to prove them right, I'm going to prove them wrong, I'm going to do everything I can to show these bastards, well, they don't care about you. They don't give a fuck anyway. They just want you to be miserable. Yeah. So focusing on proving other people wrong is actually a very negative focus. Yeah. So I had this mental shift. It's only the last couple of years I figured this out. Yeah. Now I'm like, you know what? I always knew I could do this. I'm going to prove myself right. People are going to think what they're going to think. Yeah. People are going to hate. People are going to detract. People are just going to
Just try and throw you off somehow and distract you from what you're doing.
Forget about it. Do it for yourself and the people around you that care. But at the end of the day, do it for yourself. It's like I've seen people, they have a marriage breakdown or they have a crisis in life. And they go, oh, now I'm going to get in shape. I'll show them, or I'll do it to try and impress a guy or a girl or whatever. No, fucking do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself, because then it's really, really satisfying. If things don't work out on the other thing, you still get great satisfaction from it. And this comes from business, from being in shape, from curing a drug addiction to saving money. Whatever your focus is, do it for you. Yeah. And everyone else could come along for the ride or not. That's their choice. And you can't stop. You can't control what people are going to think. And it's really funny. I'll share something with you, which I've not done this on a seminar or a podcast, so this is a little exclusive. Is that
nice one?
Since I've had this, I guess, success with the Arnold thing, and I've become this, guy that's travelling all the time and moving in huge circles. I've met some absolutely amazing people that people have got on a list of people you'd like to meet. I've met most of them.
Yeah.
And my life's changed a lot. And there was people who were great supporters of mine who were never haters, who I found out were only happy for me to be successful to this point. And when I got to here, they turned into the worst haters and detractors. They really tried to bring me back down. To say, hang on, now you're more successful than us, or now you've gone further than we ever expected.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I've had to deal with a whole new level of that, Jack. It's been astonishing, because you think people that don't know you're a good guy, and I imagine people that don't like you don't really know you. Because you're a giving soul.
Yeah.
But they might look from the outside and go, oh, Jack's an arsehole, he drives this or he does it, whatever.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
But when it's people in your inner circle, people who you've told your biggest secrets to, people you've talked to about your dreams and aspirations and feelings, when they become unable to deal with your
success and happiness and
your journey, your success, your happiness, this is a really hard curveball to deal with. But it's made me a much stronger, better person. It's made me realise, just do it for me. Don't do it for them.
Yeah.
Don't do it to prove anyone wrong. Do it to prove yourself right.
Yeah, I love it, mate. Well, listen, I know you're stuck for time, and I appreciate you coming on down. We'll wind it up there, mate.
No problem, mate. It's been good to talk, and congratulations on everything you're doing. And Jack's around the gym, one of the most inspirational guys. Tune into his podcast every time they're on, because you always learn something. And you've only got to learn one thing, take one little bit of wisdom from a couple of old blokes like us to change your day and change your life and go forward. But whatever it is, be your best. Don't quit, and don't quit trying.
I love it. All right, then. Thank you so much again, buddy.
Pleasure, man.
I really appreciate your time.
We'll do it again. Let's do it again sometime.
We'll definitely do it again. All right,
Fantastic.
then.
Thank you.
We are out of here. Thank you very much again, Tony. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave us sign off as I normally do by saying, please, everyone, be nice to each other, but more importantly, be nice to yourselves. Okay, I love you fuckers.